Hi, everyone. My name is Kathy Della Lucia, and I will be your instructor for our summer course, Sculpture Foundations 3D Design 1, which, as you know, we will be starting here pretty soon in about 2 weeks on July 7th. So our first class is Monday from 1:50 p.m. to 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be meeting for that month, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So on the first day of class, we are going to meet over Zoom. I will be sending out a Zoom link so you know and a syllabus, and so you know exactly what we're going to be doing the first day. While this is right now is I want to talk about the supplies list that I would like you to purchase before we start class. I have included it in the email in a document so you can see what you need. I have everything uploaded to Blick, which is an art supply store here in the US, probably the biggest one. It's got a list, everything that you need. You can buy it all from right there. You might have some of the things, so I do want you to take a look at the list. You might not need every single thing. I'm going to go through this list now to talk about everything so you have an idea of what it is in case you want to try to find some of these things in person at a store, on Amazon. It very well might be cheaper someplace else, so I definitely understand if you want to find some of these products elsewhere. Also, those of you that might not be in the US, I do realize that you might not be able to ship from Blick. So this way you have an idea of what these materials are, and in your home country or wherever you are, you could try and find something comparable. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email and I can help you out. All right, so the supplies list for this class. The link above is what you will find in the email. This is the Dick Blick supplies list. You can click on here. This is what your screen is going to look like. So for our class, the listed first here, as you can see the photo on the left, is the required items. As you scroll down at the bottom, there will be recommended items. The recommended items are things that you don't absolutely need. It might be great to have. There will be some freedom in what you're making. So you might not need paint, but you might want it, as well as there are some things that you probably have lying around the house. The ones in the required items are things that you definitely need to have. Again, you might have some version of this at home. So take a look at each thing and see if you really do need to buy it. There are a few materials like oil modeling clay, the paper pulp, paper mache, product that I'm imagining that you don't have at home, and that is something that you will need. So this is what the page looks like if you click on the link and you order from Blick. Paper pulp. So this one here that I have listed is the Amico Claycrete Instant Paper Mache. You need a 1 pound bag. There are different versions of this. This brand is paper pulp. So it's pulp, it's broken down paper fibers. It's also got a glue mixed into it. So all you have to do is add water. It's non-toxic. It's very easy to use, very easy cleanup. You won't have to be adding your own glue or adding your own products. It's air dry. So this is what you should buy. If you can't find this exact thing, then look for paper pulp or an instant paper mache that's just add water. If you can't find it, then send me an email and we can try and find something comparable. Oil or plasticine clay. The link for the Dick Blick supplies list is the one on the left, the Van Aken Plastilina modeling clay. You're welcome to get any colors you want. You should have about 2 pounds of clay. You can get any colors that you want. The one on the right is Sargent. They're currently sold out until next week on Blick. But this also is a very good brand. If you're looking on Amazon, you could definitely check out this brand. The nice thing about the Sargent is that they have some multi-packs of different colors. We are going to be using it in a claymation modeling project as well as some model making. So colors, it's hard to foresee what you'll need now. I think it would be fine to get like a white and a black or a gray and a black, something where you could mix the colors together. But look to get about 2 pounds worth. Basic modeling tools, we are going to be using this for the oil clay as well as a little bit of the paper pulp sculptures. This is your basic, cheapest that I could find. These are made out of wood. It's a set of 3. You also might find them out of rubber, a plastic, or metal. Any of that is fine. Glue gun. You will need a glue gun. Get whatever glue gun you could find. I picked here the cheapest glue gun on the site, as well as the next page, the cheapest glue sticks. Make sure that whatever glue gun you get, the glue sticks match the size of the glue gun. So if it's a mini glue gun, as this one is, then make sure you get the mini glue sticks. Don't worry about the watts, the temperature. There are low temperature glue guns. If it's a low temperature glue gun, make sure that you get low temperature glue. But you might be able to find this cheaper. Get whatever you want. Otherwise, make sure it's a glue gun. Make sure you have glue sticks to go with it. Here are the glue sticks. This is just a pack of 10. Masking tape. The tape should be tearable masking tape, so not packing tape, that plastic stuff that you pack a box with. Try to avoid duct tape too. The idea with the masking tape is that you'll very quickly be able to work with it, put things together. It doesn't ruin the surface of something. Let's say you're working with a little bit of cardboard, you're working and you're taping some of your found object sculptures together, then this is a little bit more friendly. So masking tape, like I said, it's very, very quick. Here's some, you might have some at home, you might find it cheaper on Amazon. Color doesn't really matter. X-Acto knife. What I have listed is this photo on the left. It's the X-Acto snap-off blade cutter. Light duty. What I like about it, it's a really nice size. If the blade gets dull, you snap it off. It's built directly into the retractable blade that's in the handle. X-Acto also makes this photo on the top right. You might have seen that. Or the bottom right is a box cutter or a utility knife. So some version of this, if you have one at home, you probably don't need to buy one. We're going to be using it for cutting cardboard. We'll be using it to cut into, to get some nice hard edges when we're modeling with the oil clay. And for the paper pulp, you might be using it to cut paper or aluminum foil or anything like that. You will also need one roll of aluminum foil, just a basic aluminum foil that you could find in a grocery store, you could find at the drugstore, CVS, or whatever. Nothing fancy, basic aluminum foil. And one roll of saran wrap or plastic kitchen wrap. Saran wrap that's a brand that we use, it's synonymous. But it's just stretchable, cling wrap, plastic wrap that you would cover food with in the kitchen. We are going to be using that for the paper pulp project. And so you will need a roll of that. Find that at any kitchen store or a grocery store, online, CVS. Should be really simple to buy. I didn't put it on the Blick website. I couldn't find a good version that wasn't outrageously priced. So just pick this up anywhere. All right, so those are the required items. The recommended items, these are optional. These are things that you might be using, or that if you have nothing at home or you're in your dorm room, these are things that I think would be helpful and you don't have lying around. So everyone will need a sketch pad. They need to be drawing, you need to be drawing on paper, and that paper should be unlined paper, so not notebook paper. But I didn't put this in the required section because it is totally fine if you are using computer paper. You very well might be using an iPad to do a lot of your sketches. We might have some modeling that involves paper, but it's really open on what kind of paper you use, or if you're using cardboard or an old cereal box or something like that. But it's not that expensive. I think it's really helpful to just get a mixed media little sketch pad. Everything's going to be in there. You're going to be doing drawings. You're going to be taking notes and taking photos of your process. So it's easy. This is a good brand. It's cheap. Any size is fine. This is a 12-inch by 9-inch. I wouldn't go much smaller than that. Don't get the little pocket protector ones. And I would probably stay away from the big 18 by 24, but you don't have to get this exact brand or this exact size. Armature wire. This here is a 16 gauge wire. It's pretty flexible and easy to use by hand. We would be possibly using this for the claymation and oil clay modeling. You might be using it in your found object assemblage sculptures, or even with the paper pulp project. Not mandatory. There's also other ways that you can build an armature. We might be using tin foil. You can use coat hangers, but it's not too expensive. If you do want to get some wire, it could definitely come in handy. This is a good size to get. With the wire, You want to get needle nose pliers or wire cutters. Many of you, if you are at home, you probably have a pair of these lying around. In needle nose pliers, there's always a wire cutter in the pliers as well. So it's nice to get those because it's a combo. You can also use it to bend and to manipulate the wire really easily instead of just having to use your fingers. And it also cuts the wire. Wire cutters, if you type in wire cutters, those are a little bit more heavy duty and they just cut the wire. They're like heavy duty scissors. A metal ruler, a T-square, or a right angle. I would imagine that you probably have a ruler lying around. This helps to cut straight lines, especially if we're working with cardboard, if we're building any type of armature or structure, even cutting into the paper. It also is nice, obviously, for measuring things. There are going to be some measurement requirements. Now, a T-square or the right triangle, that is so that you have an idea of if you are cutting at a 90 degrees. So let's say that you're building a box. Just with the ruler, it's very easy to think you have a nice square and to have one of those lines be a little bit offset. So something that has a 90 degree built into it is a good thing to have. Now, I realize that you might not be using this a ton and it does take up space. So that's why it is in the recommended section. It's not required. There are some ways around it. Obviously, around your house, you might have something that is a 90 degree. If you have a straight edge or a ruler, you could check the 90 and then use the ruler to do your cuts alongside of it. I recommend the aluminum or a metal ruler because using the utility knife or the X-Acto blade, you won't gouge into plastic or wood. You won't gouge into the metal the same way you would a plastic or wood ruler. Acrylic paint brushes. These are going to go alongside this next page, the acrylic or water-based paint. You don't have to paint your pieces. I'm going to show you a couple options of getting some color with some household materials with some dyes that you might have lying around. Color is not essential for this class, but it often can amplify your pieces, and a lot of people often do choose to want to use color. Unfortunately, when we're in the studio, we have some large jugs of acrylic paint. You won't be needing a ton of it like in a painting class, so it's pretty easy to just, much more cost effective instead of having you buy a whole thing of paint and only using a little bit here and there. But my suggestion, since this isn't a painting class, you don't need some heavy duty materials. This craft value brush set are those cheap versions, all different sizes. You'll be able to get some paint on your pieces. This next page here is the cheapest Blick matte acrylic paint, basic color set. You can also buy these individually. They're about $3 a piece individually on the Blick site. If you're looking elsewhere, just look for acrylic paint. Acrylic paint, craft paint even, it doesn't have to be great quality, honestly. You just want something that is water-based. So, or something that is water soluble, you can water it back down. Do avoid oil paint. It's not the healthiest thing for working in an in-home studio. You won't have the other supplies to wash it, to dilute the paint down, even disposing of it. It's very complicated. So stick to something like acrylic, watercolor, vinyl paint, like a craft paint, something along those lines. A cutting mat. So a cutting mat is nice because you are working at home. I don't know the surface that you're cutting on. You probably don't want to be cutting up your kitchen table or your carpet or your hardwood floors. So depending on the surface that you have, especially if you're working with the X-Acto knife, you want to have something to work on top of. These are these great self-healing cutting mats. They're flexible, they're not super heavy, excuse me, and you won't be ruining the surface that you're cutting into or that you're working on top of. This here is an 18 by 24. It's a nice little workspace. It's also easy cleanup. So when we're working with other things, it's very easy to clean up, dust scraps off, wipe down instead of, you can work on top of it and move it and slide it under the bed. But I do realize it's another $15. They do have a 12 by 18 size that is half this price, I believe. Obviously a smaller working area. If you were working with cardboard, you'd have to kind of make sure that you're moving it around. Options instead of this, if you want to save some money, if you've got a piece of plywood lying around, a sheet of mat board or a sheet of corrugated, some thick cardboard, a box that you could undo and make sure that you're working on top of it. The idea is that you're protecting the surface underneath it. You're also protecting your blade. If you are cutting into something very hard, you will dull that blade down very easily. It also can snap off the tip of those X-Acto blades. All right, last thing, scissors, a good pair of scissors. I also imagine that you have a decent pair of scissors lying around. If you don't, I'd pick up a good pair of scissors, not the tiny mini ones, they're like little nail scissors, but a good pair of scissors that you can cut foil with, that you can cut paper with, might be able to cut some cardboard with it. We'll also be using those to cut some of the paper mache. So a good pair of scissors will come in handy. All right, that's all I have for you. That's what you need. So pay attention to what is required and what is recommended. Like I said, you don't need everything. My idea was to keep this underneath the $70 that we typically charge for a studio supplies fee. And you know, as things happen, it's really easy to go out and grab something from the store. A lot of these basic materials are things that you're going to be able to find at a hardware store, at a craft store, at something like Target or Walmart. So you shouldn't have too much trouble. The biggest things that I think that might be difficult to find are the paper mache, the paper pulp paper mache, and the oil clay plastilene. Excuse me, plastilene. Other than that, everything else you should be able to find easily. That's all I have for you. The other thing that you will need is a smartphone. So hopefully you all have a smartphone and you have internet. If you don't, then send me an email and we can try and find some other options. All right, I'm definitely looking forward to meeting you. We're gonna have a great, weird, virtual, messy summer session, and I will see you on July 7th or whatever that Tuesday is. All right, bye guys.